Well, hello everyone. You talk about right here is from Meeting Years Connection, and basically that talk about right here of like ways of how people meet each other if it's going to be on a job or somewhere around town, something like that. But a lot of times, if anybody were to ask, it's like yeah, anybody in particular, such as how did you meet this person, and then that what's their side of the story, stuff like that. But let's just say on average to where that while you were working on something, it could have been maybe for school, job, business reasons, or maybe for hobby reasons, some sort. That yeah, that you may have picked up the wrong letter or something like that. It could have been maybe for reasons to why that yeah, that you may have met somebody, maybe maybe it could have been maybe at the airport, and you might like say yeah, met them at the airport, that you may have accidentally bumped into them by accident, and you said sorry or something like that. But then it's like a lot of times it's like, well, and then whenever you actually reconnect with them and you're like Warren, or that stories like that, and then you're thinking about, yep, that we met each other at one time, but then maybe just didn't know it, just didn't realize it. But we have right here are these images right here, and this one right here is like a school picture, and this one right here is like from a church event. And I know that anybody, if anybody has seen this picture right here of me before, but this right here is whenever I used to work over there at my other job, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's like your church event, that took that picture right there. Still, still looks pretty clear, and I know I still look young in this picture too. That I would probably say that, yeah, that picture was taken about 10 years ago, something like that, a little over 10 years ago, from back in 2005. So it's like, yeah, my glasses are just a little bit smaller, and yeah, I didn't have all that facial hair at the time. But on your hand, that you're like Warren, to where that from how people meet each other, and especially to if it's going to be on a job, and if it's going to be anybody in particular. And so you're like Warren, to where that you're trying to get some gather up any source of evidence, such as to where how somebody found somebody or some sort, and for how they connect, and then it could have been maybe because that yeah, that somebody that may have had done some, like I keep thinking about is like to work, people I say that yeah, a toys to where they, you may a kid that if they're that going to be extremely curious to where they're going to check something out, such as to where that yeah, that if you're going to have a young son or a daughter that's going more likely be looking around, and then be thinking about like anything that you're maybe working on a project, and thinking that maybe after the project is on hold, or if it's been postponed, or if it's done and over with, whichever it is, and you're going to have somebody else that's going to be extremely curious, and maybe a kid or somebody that's going to probably say, hey, what's that? And one of those could have been maybe a train set. I'm like, yeah, you put together a train set, and it could have been maybe something that you were working on, maybe for business reasons or some sort, and then somebody else that finds it, and they're going to think it maybe it's a toy, but you're like saying, nope, it's precious. Like that's something that, but on the other hand, that talking about for how ways that people are connect with each other, and one of those could have been it's like yeah, that they actually you met this person at maybe at the restaurant or maybe at the gathering or something like that, and then they may have found something that like you talked about. It's like, yep, you may have met at one time, and so you're like Warren, to where that yeah, that people may find somebody who just buys to where that they look at that maybe like an assignment, or maybe a report or something like that, from a paper of some sort, working for like a company, or it could have been maybe any science of work, such as to where anything that could have been found from like anybody say, yeah, well, that's something that you were working on just for fun or something like that, just for fun or just to experiment around. It could have been maybe from a chemistry test, or maybe from a contest. Anybody say, yeah, from a contest, but you're like Warren, to where somebody else that found whichever that was whatever sources of information that was found, and then if somebody became extremely curious to where they're going to go ahead and maybe want to find that person who made that item or maybe wrote the paper or something like that. So you're like Warren to where that, how do we go by is like answering the story to where that like for a long story. You may say, yeah, well, that's a long story. I'm like, if somebody were extremely curious, they'd probably say, yeah, sit down for about an hour, to talk about a little bit about the details. But at the same time, it just seems like to where, yep, from how other people meet each other is to where, yep, that we didn't meet each other at work. We met. We may have. They say we met at the store, or we may have met at a comedy club. We may met at the bar or wherever. And you're like Warren to where that they really are interested in what you do, and so you're like Warren to where that for so far as meeting yours connection is to where that it's really interesting. I think about how people meet each other. About how others meet this person or that person. So it's like it could not have been on a job, but then at the same time, it seems like to where that yeah, that let's just say that if they wind up getting a job to where that they find out evidence about yeah that one of them could be a story writer and the other one could maybe be a photographer, and so they're like saying they start gathering pictures from somebody or from a certain photographer, and then by the time they get their they graduate, and by the time that they run a business or something like that, what they're for whatever that they use their photography for, and so you're like Warren toward it that you're going to have people that are going to be extremely curious and knowing about yeah that I know a little bit about you. If you want to know a little bit more about me, something like that. But so far as talking about for meeting years is to where that I'm talking about maybe after about 10 years that you may find out about somebody that may have been following about what you've been they may have been following your work and then that kind of gathering evidence about we will want to know about who wrote that poem, and so we gathered up we start collecting information about a little bit about what you do, and then we find you maybe on Facebook or some sort. So it seems like to where that really, I'm like, how people meet, and sometimes it seems like to where, yeah, how come you didn't tell me? How come you didn't say nothing before that you began this long journey to where, that, hey, what's the reason to why you went on this trip, or what's the reason to why that, you decided, to join the club or join the event or something like that. So, and I'm sure anybody probably say that, yeah, they are real nervous just to really to tell the whole truth of matters as to what the reason to why, they're there, you at the meeting or some sort. But I don't know. I'm like, if I say that, yeah, even though whenever you do find out the truth that you may not understand and you may get mad right away, but really, how do we handle situations like that to where that by the time you tell somebody the truth about something and then that they wind up getting mad and frustrated about it because it's like yeah that for how people meet, and you're like Warren to where that you put together a model car and then somebody wants to know about who built it and who did the work, and then the next thing you know it, you're like saying about like little kids are going to maybe treat it like a toy when it's really something that's not a toy. It's something that's part of the career. But other than that, it's like telling about for anybody how they connect with one another is like it'd be safe as well. But other than that, like I talk about say for me and yours connection, and then thinking about I'm like really that for a long story short is thinking about I'm like yep, this is what I do, this is how we met, and I'm sure that I could say for anything that we do that I'm sure is like it's all about. It seems like to where that really that they get somebody extremely curious to the point to where that's how people get to know each other, especially to where you didn't think anything was such a big deal. You didn't think that they really cared to want to know about this or that anyway, until that they found out more evidence about something about photography, or if it was about building a collage, or if it's anything else related. So talk about right there is like for meeting connections, and meeting yours connections. Thanks for watching.